Hey everyone, today we're diving into a seemingly ordinary yet suspense-filled story. But hold on, the truth won't be that simple. In the elevator, they ran into a bunch of tourists lugging around big bags, and Susan and the doctor just followed them without a second thought. At the 16th floor, as agreed with the doctor, Susan got off the elevator alone to act. Just as luck would have it, when she opened the door, two big guys came at her like they were shot out of a cannon, and Susan's eyes went wide. She recognized these terrifying backpackers. Clearly, they were gunning for her, so she played innocent and waited for them to drop their guard before striking back. But alas, Susan was outnumbered and quickly found herself in trouble with the two guys taking her down. Hearing the news, old Dan turned ghostly pale, forgot all about the neighbor painting the wall, and raced straight to Susan's place. After everyone left, Dan finally met Paul. Paul looked puzzled and said Susan never wore expensive stuff. He couldn't believe his wife was a robbery victim and handed all her belongings over to Dan. Dan glanced at the belongings, feeling a twinge of sadness, and vowed to uncover the truth and avenge Susan. So she immediately set off to investigate, hoping to find some useful clues. Meanwhile, in their Brussels apartment, the two backpackers were parting it up after hearing some good news. Just as their little bash peaked, a phone rang out of nowhere, interrupting their revelry. Downstairs, a big guy casually hung up the phone, then hopped into a buddy's car. Little did he know they were the killers. By repeatedly watching the surveillance footage, Dan noticed the suspects press the 16th floor button way ahead of time. Something was fishy. Clearly, someone had it out for Susan, so Dan quickly flew off to Washington in search of the truth. He found the doctor in the park. His face turned pale, believing Dan died long ago. Dan had no time for backstory, got to the chase, and asked the CIA for updates on the backpackers. The doctor sighed and said, "Those two kicked the bucket last night in a gas explosion," and Dan just smiled calmly. He pulled out Susan's autopsy report, and the wound was so precise it looked like a pro did it. Diving deep into the documents, Dan discovered clues that led him to the shocking truth behind Susan's accident. After some inquiries, he realized there must have been someone else involved in the incident. So he called the doctor again, warning him to investigate Susan's death. Just when he thought he was close to the truth, he unexpectedly received an assassination threat, catching Dan off guard. Then he met a bold passenger who hopped in bragging about heading to his daughter's birthday bash. When Dan asked about her age, the man hesitated for a moment, and Dan immediately steered towards the opposite direction of the airport. The man quickly reacted and drew a knife on Dan, but Dan cleverly swerved the car, sending him tumbling. Dan expertly maneuvered the wheel while dodging, and sure enough, he took out the pursuing assassin. After blasting away 3 shots, Dan sped off, still feeling a bit relieved. He found a lonely spot, checked out the assassin's phone, and it was all encrypted messages. Only CIA agents were authorized to use such phones, and Dan immediately knew things were getting serious. He promptly decided to destroy the evidence and quickly turned that car into ashes. The next morning, he suddenly showed up at the doctor's house, and the doctor was utterly shocked. The doctor hurriedly ushered his family out and began discussing the investigation progress. Dan didn't mince words, pulled out the assassin's phone, and warned the doctor that he and his family could be the next targets. He said decrypting the phone was the only way to track down the mastermind, and time was of the essence. The doctor took the phone, promising to crack it soon, but just as he put it in his pocket, Dan called back. Turns out Dan had already cracked it, and he was just verifying his suspicions. Suddenly, the charade was up, and the doctor dropped the pity act, openly admitting his illegal activities. He claimed it was all to cover up his illegal dealings, and Dan knew exactly what awaited these people. But Dan didn't strike immediately, knowing the doctor's goons were lurking just outside. In the end, Dan used the guise of catching up to get the doctor to another location. "Hey folks, I truly don't give a damn about the terrible things you've done, But since you've killed Susan, you're definitely going to pay the price. Old Dan firmly and resolutely stated his stance. Just then, the doctor's wife stepped out with the kid, and Dan calmly greeted her, displaying a muffled composure. "Hey, can you help me out? Take me to the bus station. Let's go, just chill out." Then Dan slowly pushed toward the doctor's little girl, despite everyone's strong objections. The four could only watch helplessly as Dan drove away, confusion rampant in their hearts. An hour later, Paul was tidying up when he suddenly heard a loud noise and cautiously went to check it out. Just then, Dan showed up, swiftly taking him away as trouble quietly approached. Meanwhile, the doctor's two henchmen crept in, ready to initiate a new wave of schemes.